a mesmerizing show. Grand victories. Crushing defeats that made even a faker cry. And what makes the League of Legends World Championship one of the greatest events in the history of esports? We are currently facing the opening of a new unforgettable World season, but now I propose you to recall the history of this tournament and figure out what exactly makes it such an enchanting event.
리그 오브 레전드가 끝나는 그때까지 계속 세계 최고의 팀.
Welcome to the Tavern, my curious summoner. Take a cozy seat for the journey is about to begin. The League of Legends World Championship is a cult event. Few esports tournaments can match the longevity, not to mention prestige, of Riot Games' masterpiece. The year 2024 marks the 14th anniversary of the historic championship, in which the best teams from all over the world compete for one of the most coveted prizes in esports, the Summoner's Cup. The World Championship is a special time, and despite the high expectations, the tournament always delivers. And it's even better if you know the history of all the teams. But don't worry if you're not up to speed. I'm here to provide you with a rundown of the key moments and context of each year's World Championship, as well as the winners of each tournament. But take your time, let us start from the beginning. When Riot released League of Legends, the team did not think that anyone would want to play the project on a professional level, but everything changed very quickly. It started with fans gradually organizing semi-professional tournaments. By the summer of 2010, the League of Legends competition scene had grown so much that Riot had to take it into account. The company announced the first competitive season of Worlds and held it in 2011 at DreamHack, one of the largest esports tournaments at the time, where StarCraft 2 and Counter-Strike competitions were held in addition to League of Legends. One of the employees says that during the tournaments, the team, not expecting much interest, launched a live broadcast from the hall because there were only 20 seats for ordinary viewers. In a few minutes, more than 100,000 people were watching it at the same time. At that moment, the developers realized how great the esports potential of League of Legends was. The company made its biggest mistake a year later, during the second season at the International Championship in October 2012. The group stage preceding the final was held at LA Live, an open space in downtown Los Angeles. The Chinese team We fought the Europeans from Counterlogic Gaming. The battle lasted over 50 minutes. The teams were neck and neck, and CLG had a slight advantage. And then, right during the match, the internet connection failed and both teams were literally thrown out of the game. Because at that time, Riot simply did not have their own dedicated servers that could be brought to an event of this scale and create a local network. There was no way to continue the match from the same location, so the battle started anew, and the network went down again. As a result, Riot interrupted the tournament and the audience went home without seeing the winners. Riot Games, having taken into account its previous shortcomings, has turned League of Legends tournaments into grand events that attract millions of viewers around the world. However, like most games in different genres, League of Legends has its competitors. Despite the great success and scale of the Worlds, the tournament has its main competitor, the International Dota 2 Tournament, which, like the Worlds, has been held annually since 2011. Of course, these two events have both similarities and differences, from the format to the prize pool. It is amazing that every year League of Legends is gaining momentum in terms of the number of viewers for the World's tournament, which is not the case for the International tournament. In League of Legends, the largest jumps in total airtime occurred in 2018, plus 60%, and 2020, plus 27%. Every year, League of Legends surprises us with the scale, preparation, and spectacle of the most important tournament of the year. Everything would be great, but there is always one huge insurmountable obstacle, a huge gap that makes the World's tournament very different from the International. I think you guys have already guessed it. It's the prize pool. The International is famous for its huge prize pools, which are gaining momentum every year. Each of them is calculated in millions or even tens of millions of US dollars. In 2021, the International collected a record-breaking amount of prize money, which amounted to $40 million. This amount even became the largest prize pool in the history of esports to date. In comparison, the Worlds cannot boast of such achievements. The average prize pool of this tournament is only $3 million US dollars. That's because Valve has always filled the prize pool of main Dota 2 tournament at the expense of players and the sale of in-game comps or battle passes, while Riot Games has allocated money for the prize pool from its own funds. 2023 was a turning point for the League of Legends esports tournament. While Valve faced player dissatisfaction with the new compendium and pass for the International, Riot Games decided to follow the lead of its competitors and launched a Battle Pass system in League of Legends. The start of sales on October 11th marked a new stage in the history of the World's tournament, opening up the possibility of a significant increase in the prize pool. Considering that this was the first time such a promotion was held within the League of Legends, and that the number of online players is absolutely insane, it made sense to expect that the prize pool of Worlds 2023 would literally smash the International 2023 for the first time in history. The problems that Valve faced when organizing the International 2023 created favorable conditions for the growth of the World's prize pool. However, despite these circumstances, the results were unexpected. The prize pool of the International, which amounted to only $3,380,455 was significantly lower than in previous years. However, Worlds was unable to take advantage of this thing and reached only $2,225,000, which is 1.5 times less than the competitors. This result came as an unpleasant surprise for Riot Games and highlighted the significant gap between the two largest esports tournaments. The Worlds has still a long way to go to not only catch up but also surpass its main competitor. Each season of the World Championship is a unique chapter in the history of esports, giving us unforgettable emotions and highlights. What does the future hold for us? What new records will be broken? And will Worlds finally be able to beat its rival? To answer these questions, let us take a look at how this large-scale competition takes place and what key stages it includes. A long time ago, in the first seasons of 2011 and 2012, the World Championship consisted of regional qualifiers, a group stage, and a playoff. In the 2013 season, the winners of professional leagues in Europe, North America, and South Korea received group stages quotas for the first time, and a qualifying tournament was added for the winners of tournaments in countries or regions where League of Legends servers had just been recently opened and non-major professional leagues, called International Wildcard, were launched. In the season of 2017, the qualifying tournament stage was changed and replaced by the preliminary stage of the main championship stage. Thus, starting from 2017 and until this year, the procedure for holding the World Tournament is as follows. The entire tournament is divided into 3 stages. Stage 1, preliminary stage games, or as it is called, the play-in stage, having the teams from regional leagues who did not have enough points to go directly to the Worlds. The teams are divided into 2 groups, A and B, within which they will play 2 matches each. At this stage, the system of upper and lower brackets, or double elimination, is in place. Thus, the teams in the lower bracket are given a second chance to reach the second stage of the tournament. As a result of the first stage, the 2 worst teams in each group will leave the tournament, and the 2 best will play additional matches with representatives of the other group. The winners will advance to the main brackets. The second stage is called the main stage, in which the Swiss stage games are played first. At this stage, 16 participants compete, 2 winners of the play-in stage, the winner of the mid-season invitational, or MSI, of the given season, and 13 teams that have won direct tickets from regional leagues. The teams are divided into pairs by draw. After the first match, the winners play the winners and the losers play the losers. The matches continue until all teams win or lose 3 games. As a result, the 8 strongest teams will advance to the next stage, the playoffs, while the remaining 8 will be eliminated. The playoff stage starts with the quarterfinals and follows the standard system. Teams are eliminated after the first defeat, having played a series of best-of-5 games. And so, now that we've talked about how the Worlds are held, let us dive into the history and atmosphere of the tournaments, starting with the very first ones and ending with the current Worlds 2024 tournament. The first ever World Championship in 2011 looks almost unrecognizable compared to the massive 6-week event we expect these days. Back then, the community joked around that the tournament was held in the basement of commentator David "Freak" Turley. The tournament took place at DreamHack, summer 2011. At that time, it was not even an independent event, and only $100,000 was available for play as prize pool. But back then, it was one of the biggest competitions in esports. More than 1.6 million viewers watched the streaming of the event, with a peak of more than 210,000 simultaneous viewers in one semi-final match. The first season will always hold a special place in the hearts of the European fans, as it is the only time in the history of this tournament that a European team has won the World Championship. Fnatic and a popular midder, Enrique Expeke Cedeno Martinez, came out on top, defeating the European team against all authority in the final, while the North American team Solo Mid took the third place. After the release of the new servers, the second World Championship is where the Eastern teams began their dominance. At the first World Championship, there were only 2 teams from the East, neither of which made it to the top 4, but the second World Championship paved the way for many more teams. South Korean teams appeared for the first time, including Azubu Frost, who became the tournament favorites. Nevertheless, Taiwan's Taipei Assassins came out on top in a monumental rout, taking home the first place prize of $1 million. It was then that the World Championship really started to feel like a grand event. At that time, the prize pool was huge. The event itself was different from all the others that took place during the year, and there was no doubt that the best teams from all over the world were competing for the title. For the second time in a row, the World Championship were held in Los Angeles, USA, and it was there that we met the greatest LOL player of all time, Lee Faker Sang-hyuk. The Korean star took the first place at the World Championship in Season 3 along with the rest of the SK Telecom T1 roster, defeating the Chinese team Royal Club 3-0 in the final. The European team Fnatic made it to the top 4, but it was obvious that the Eastern teams, especially the Korean ones, started to improve their team play skills much faster than the North American ones and the European ones. LOL has taken over South Korea and their teams have become very good indeed. Riot decided to finally bring the World Championship to the East, holding the 2014 World Championship in Korea with the finals at the Giant World Championship Stadium in Seoul. This year, once again, the Korean team won as Samsung White defeated the Chinese team Starhorn Royal Club to become the vice champion again. The 40,000 Korean spectators went home happy, and for the first time the world saw how great the World Championship can be. The success of this event not only strengthened the dominance of Korean teams but also became a catalyst for the further development of esports. That year, to celebrate the popularity of the tournament, the first official world's anthem, the song named Warriors by Imagine Dragons, was released. On the one hand, this song is an esports anthem dedicated to professional players and their difficult path to the top. But on the other hand, it is an inspirational anthem that encourages ordinary listeners to never give up on their dreams. It is since 2014 that every World Championship has received its own unique anthem, a bright and memorable video that has become the hallmark of the tournament. Season 5 brought the World Championship back to Europe for the first time since Season 1 and proved that the monthly format of the World Championship with travel between cities can work around the world, not just in Korea. It was another unforgettable tournament as European teams Fnatic and Origin both made it to the top 4 on home soil, figuratively speaking, delighting fans, but the Koreans won again, and SKT with Faker won their second World Championship. This season, the song Worlds Collide performed by Nikki Taylor became the hallmark of the tournament. This is more than just a song. It's a battle cry that elevates the spirit of struggle and unity in the face of adversity. The lyrics invite us to choose, to break the resistance or to fall, fighting for our dreams. It is a story about all of us, about our desire to rise to the top despite falling, and about our ability to unite to overcome any obstacles. Season 6 brought the World Championship back to North America with the finale taking place at the sold-out Staples Center in Los Angeles. And according to the old tradition, this season opens with a specially released video for the World Championship called Ignite featuring Zed. But the song was negatively received by many members of the League of Legends community who unfavorably compared it to the 2014 anthem Warriors by Imagine Dragons, that is. In a mixed review, Ryan Middleton of Music Times said that the track has a vintage Zed style with a rough electronic sound in the drops, but it feels like something is missing in places. The vocals are a little cheesy, but ultimately it's meant to be a gameplay track and inspire fans to get into the tournament. Despite this, Season 6 is considered one of the most memorable LOL tournaments. The intense 5-game semifinal between SKT and ROX Tigers is still one of the best and most exciting LOL series ever played. And the final was full of drama as well, as Samsung Galaxy nearly completed the reverse sweep but ultimately came up short in the 5th game, meaning SKT became the first and only team to ever win back-to-back Summoners Cups. The 2017 World Championship was a big deal. For this season, the song Legends Never Die was released, which was created by the band against the current, specifically for the 2017 League of Legends World Championship. It became the anthem of the tournament and quickly gained popularity among fans of the game. The video for the song was released on October 18, 2017 and immediately went viral. It is full of references to the game and tells the story of resilience, determination, and strength of spirit. Coming back to Worlds 2017, this event was held in China for the first time, and the finals were held at the 80,000-seat Bird's Nest Stadium in Beijing. The packed crowd was an impressive sight, and the iconic CGI dragon during the opening ceremony still remains one of the coolest things ever seen in esports. Fans witnessed the legendary rematch of last year's final when Samsung Galaxy took revenge on SKT, defeating them 3-0. Leaving a crying Faker in disbelief. In 2018, the World Championship returned to Korea, which seemed appropriate given the country's dominance in the competition. But in a shocking turn of events, not a single Korean team made it to the top 4, let alone the final. The North American team Cloud9 and the European G2 Esports reached the semifinals, and another European team, Fnatic, and the Chinese Invictus Gaming met in the final. However, Fnatic were unable to repeat their Season 1 heroics as they were soundly defeated by IG, the first ever world champions from China. After many years of work, the rest of the world caught up with South Korea, and the notorious gap between Eastern and Western teams finally narrowed. As usual, Riot Games developers have presented a music video and a soundtrack for the World's 2018 Championship called Rise. This time, the song was composed by Make, The Word Alive, and the popular American electronic music band The Glitch Mob. In addition, the video itself has a clear storyline which hides Easter eggs about the game itself, the tournament, and esports players. And if you don't want to miss the detailed analysis of all the world's videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the opportunity to listen to the most interesting stories. The song Phoenix was released for the 9th season of the Worlds. This time it's not as dynamic, but that doesn't stop it from giving you goosebumps. Riot once again showed their ability to create mesmerizing things. The return of the 2019 LOL World Championships to Europe could not have come at a better time, following Fnatic's remarkable performance at last year's World Championships and the triumph of the 2019 G2 Esports Mid-Season Invitational, the first international title for Europe since Fnatic won the first World Championship 8 years earlier. But G2 was still a team that could be beaten. They reached the finals after defeating SKT in the semifinals, but were defeated 3-0 in front of their home crowd in Paris at the hands of the Chinese team FunPlus Phoenix. LOL has officially entered a new era, and as expected, the 2020 World Championships are returning to China, and this year's anthem is the Takeover soundtrack by Jeremy McKinnon, Max, and Henry. Despite the pandemic, the tournament still continued with head-to-head matches, but there was not a single fan who could attend the final at Shanghai's Pudong Football Stadium due to visa and quarantine issues. Two representative teams from Vietnam, Team Flash and GAM Esports, were unable to participate in the tournament, and Taiwan's PSG Talent had to field replacements for two Korean players who were unable to attend the play-in stage. In terms of play, South Korea returned to the top as the new generation of Damwon gaming stars were able to defeat China's surprise package, Suning. The 2021 World Championships were supposed to return to China, but due to travel difficulties, the event was moved to Reykjavik, Iceland, which also hosted MSI earlier that year. The tournament was full of exciting games and drama, including a superb 5-game final. Damwon, now called DWG Kia, put up a good fight, but the victory went to Edward Gaming, who won a record 6 domestic titles in China as this legendary organization finally didn't choke on the international stage. All events of that season were accompanied by the new anthem of the Worlds, the Burn It All Down soundtrack featuring Paris. The 12th iteration of Worlds was held in Mexico and the United States and can be called another contender for the title of the largest tournament in LOL history with many exciting games, moments, and stories. Also, according to the tradition, the anthem called Star Walking was released for this Worlds, performed by Lil Nas X. This year, all eyes were on one person, Kim Deft Hyuk-kyu. Deft actually went to school with Faker, but hasn't reached the same heights yet. Despite the fact that he has been competing since 2013 and is considered one of the best players in the world, Deft has been painfully eliminated from the World Championships at the quarterfinal stages 5 times and has never gone further. His team DRX were underdogs from the start as Korea's 4th seeds and had to fight through the playoffs to get to the main part of the tournament. However, the team made an incredible run to the finals where Deft defeated his old high school teammate Faker and the rest of T1, formerly SKT, 3-2 in one of the most dramatic finals of the World Championships. This is the only time a play-in team has ever won a tournament. The 13th season of Worlds was solemnly opened with a new video called Gods featuring New Jeans. After a 5-year wait, South Korea was once again able to host the World Championship. After the failures of LCK teams in 2018, Korean fans hoped that they could finally see one of their own teams win again on their home soil. But some very scary Chinese teams stood in their way, including tournament favorites JD Gaming, who won all the titles they competed for that year. However, JDG did not even make it to the finals as they were knocked out by the legendary Korean team T1. Faker and his team won their incredible 4th World Championship title to the delight of fans in attendance after a dominant 3-0 victory over Chinese underdogs Weibo Gaming. T1 has finally returned to its otherworldly best form, winning its first World Championship trophy since 2016. And at the moment, the T1 team has 4 World Championship Cups to its credit, which is still a record number in the history of the tournament. This year, the World Championship will return to Europe. The tournament will pass through Paris and Berlin, and then end with the final at the O2 Arena in London. In recent iterations, some major regions have been happy to send a 4th seed, usually Korea and China. However, things will be different at the 2024 World Championship, as the LEC, LCS, LCK, and LPL will all be able to set back to a 3-seed base. The hearts of millions of League of Legends fans are beating together as they await Worlds 2024. What anthem will light a fire in our souls this season? What legendary moments will go down in the history of esports forever? And who will raise the coveted cup above their heads? These are the questions that haunt all of us. Let us go through this epic journey together and create a real holiday atmosphere for all LOL fans. Who do you root for? Tell us in the comments and let us create the best support for our favorite teams together. I can't wait for the tournament to start and I'm extremely grateful to you for being with me. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single moment. Put a like and share the video with your friends. See you soon, my friend, for a new glass of amazing stories from the world of League of Legends.